What we're looking at here is a watercolor that I did titled Seawall Roman numeral 2. I completed it in 2013. It's 16 by 24 inches. And in this video, what we're going to do is explore the development of this image. So in relation just to the content, the subject matter, it so happens that the uninterrupted sand beach extending from the Cliff House in San Francisco all the way south to Muscle Rock, which is on the exact border between Daly City and Pacifica, in the world, it's one of the longest uninterrupted sandy beaches. And for most people that grew up in the Bay Area, especially in San Francisco and the coast, Daly City and Pacifica, is that it is as much an icon, that being that sandy beach, as the Golden Gate Bridge or Coit Tower or cable cars or anything else. We generally refer to it in San Francisco as Ocean Beach. Of course, it's the Pacific Ocean, but that's how that stretch of beach within the bounds of San Francisco is referred to. So I've addressed it a number of times in my work, and this is just a watercolor from 1979 titled Great Highway, which there used to be a tunnel at Taravel and Moraga, where a tunnel would go under the Great Highway to the beach. Unfortunately, those have been closed off, but I have also worked directly with the subject of the seawall, and the seawall extends from the Cliff House to about Lincoln, to the south end of Golden Gate Park, an uninterrupted concrete wall, which unfortunately is in a major state of decay these days. What we're looking at is a watercolor I did in 1991. It's 20 by 38 inches, and there's even a bird. I rarely do animals, and there's a bird in this watercolor. What do you know? So, lastly, I want to share with you a painting that I did titled Ocean Beach Binoculars. I completed this in 2013. It's 35 inches by 70 inches, oil on canvas. So to me, as a native San Francisco, the seawall and Ocean Beach is a big part of my life. And again, here we are looking at the end product. But let's see how I went ahead as a watercolor and started this image. Normally, I wait till all the light washes are in before I put anything dark in. The darks look particularly dark in this image because it's only playing against white. They're really not black, but they're a mid-range value. And the reason that I did that in this image is that one of the big challenges in the image is that the wall is concave, and that it is going to gradually work its way from the darker areas, the shadowed areas, towards the top of the wall, and then arc down towards the sunlight, so doing a shift from dark to light. So I knew that was going to be essential in the image, and wanted to just go ahead and address it right from the beginning. I wasn't really sure how this would all work out, but that's often what happens with watercolor with me. Is I've got a game plan that I hope works, and I've got to do it and see what happens. Essentially, the other big challenge in this painting, on a technical level, is that I am going to deal with a great deal of graffiti that has been painted on this wall, and I'm busy painting in watercolor on paper, trying to suggest aerosol spray paint, which is normally used for graffiti. So again, this is the first stage of the painting, and then what you're seeing here is the watercolor developing. We're looking at my drafting table in my studio where I'm actually creating this image. And what you can see here pretty plainly is I've laid out all of the underlying lights. Normally with watercolor, you work from light to dark, and I've addressed all of the lights. And at this point, I'm going to move forward. And what I did was I started, once the lights were established, to work from background forward. And as I move through this, you can start to see that I've placed more and more darks, which helps me get a real sense of the breadth of the value scale in the image. So working from light to dark and also working from background forward is part of the traditional approach to watercolor. And we'll move forward here, and I've gone a long way towards completion. It's not complete yet. Things that are worth noting is you can see the shiny spots towards the bottom of the image. There's actually an acetate stencil protecting the sand and the beach from any possible accidental drip or smear of watercolor, which there'd be no way in that light area of the sand to recover from such an accident without really screwing the painting up. So I take the time to cut out, not on the watercolor itself, but trace it with a marking pen on a sheet of acetate so I know what the shape looks like. On another surface, cut that shape out, and then I've taped it down to protect the sandy beach. Also, what is present here, it's not easy to see, but I have white drafting tape around all sides of the rectangle that houses the image, and that's protecting the border, which I want to leave clean white in the end product of the watercolor. So at any rate, at the end of the image, when it's finished, if you do a protective drafting tape border around the image, please remember to always pull the drafting tape away from the image, not straight up and never towards the image. Every now and then it sticks a little bit to the paper, and it can create tears that dig into the image itself, which is certainly not what you want. We're looking here at the end product of the watercolor, which quite frankly, I'm extremely pleased with this piece. So we've got, one of the things that attracted to me to this image is those binocular machines that almost are like robots peering over the wall. There's two of them towards the left-hand side. The shadow that I started with, not knowing exactly how it worked, I must say, worked perfectly, giving you that sense that the top of the concave is a little bit darker, and then as it curves outward towards the sun, it lightens up. The other thing that I'm also quite pleased with is how authentic the graffiti looks in relation to I'm painting with watercolor, suggesting aerosol spray paint, and being the clever guy that I am, it worked out beautifully. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and as usual, happy painting.